The name painted across a cargo ship can be a disguise. The company loading the containers may not own the vessel. The nation on its flag may never see it. And the business collecting millions in rent may be little more than a legal address and a bank account. So who actually owns the ships that carry the world?
And when a canal closes, fuel prices jump, or a new climate rule arrives. Who loses the money?
International shipping carries roughly 4/5 of world merchandise trade by volume. At the beginning of 2025, the commercial fleet counted about 112,500 vessels, with a combined capacity of 2.44 billion deadweight tons. These ships are not merely vehicles. Each is a floating industrial system. Steel, engines, crews, insurance, debt, and contracts, all moving together across borders.
But a ship is also a price that never stops moving.
A large commercial vessel can cost tens or hundreds of millions of dollars. It may work for 25 years, yet its value can change violently in a single season. When freight demand rises, a used ship can become more valuable than a new one because it can earn money immediately. When trade collapses, the same hull can be worth less than the loan secured against it. Steel is solid, its economics are not.
Look at one ship, and you may find 5 different identities.
A shipyard builds it, a bank finances it, a legal company owns it, an operator finds cargo and manages schedules. A flag state supplies the nationality and regulatory framework. Sometimes another company manages the crew and another insures the risk. The logo visible from shore is often only the public face of a much deeper structure. UN Trade and Development estimates that beneficial owners in Greece, China, and Japan controlled more than 40% of global carrying capacity in 2025. But the most common flags were Liberia, Panama, and the Marshall Islands. Together, those 3 registries represented about 45% of world capacity. Ownership, operation, and nationality have become separate products.
Why build a system this complicated?
Because complexity can isolate risk. Many vessels sit inside their own special purpose company. One ship, one balance sheet, one mortgage. If disaster strikes, the financial damage may be contained inside that entity. The structure can simplify lending, taxation, partnerships, and resale. It can also make the real chain of control difficult for outsiders to see.
Owning the ship is only half the business. The next question is, who rents it, and on what terms?
Under a time charter, an operator hires the vessel for months or years, while the owner usually provides the ship and crew. Under a bareboat charter, the renter takes much more responsibility, almost as if leasing the hull itself. In the voyage, or spot, market, the ship is hired for a specific journey. Each contract moves fuel risk, operating risk, and market risk to a different desk. A long charter offers predictable income. The owner sacrifices some upside, but gains stability. The spot market offers freedom and danger. When ships are scarce, daily rates can multiply. When demand weakens, earnings can fall below the cost of fuel, crew, maintenance, and debt. The same vessel can look like a money machine in March and a liability by October.
And beneath every optimistic forecast sits the mortgage.
Shipping is capital intensive, so owners rarely pay entirely in cash. A lender may finance a large share of the purchase, using the vessel as collateral. In good markets, leverage magnifies profit. A ship worth $80 million can generate returns on a much smaller equity investment. But leverage also works in reverse. If the ship's market value falls, the lender may demand more collateral, tighter covenants, or repayment. Imagine an owner buys a vessel for $80 million with $50 million in debt. Then freight rates fall, and comparable ships trade for 45 million. The business may still operate, the engine may still run, and the crew may still sail. Yet on paper, the collateral no longer covers the loan. The crisis begins before the ship stops moving.
Then geography changes the calculation overnight.
The Red Sea crisis forced vessels away from the Suez Canal and around the Cape of Good Hope. By May 2025, tonnage through Suez remained about 70% below 2023 levels. Longer routes consumed more fuel, required more ships, delayed cargo, and increased ton miles. A disruption can damage trade while simultaneously increasing revenue for owners whose vessels remain available. In 2026, disruption around the Strait of Hormuz offered the same brutal lesson at another choke point. A narrow passage can influence energy prices, insurance, charter rates, and fleet deployment across the world. A ship owner is not only betting on trade, the owner is betting on geography, diplomacy, weather, and time.
But the largest wager may be hidden inside the engine room.
Ships ordered today may still be working in the 2050s. Owners must choose an engine before the future fuel system is settled. Conventional fuel is widely available, but exposed to emissions rules. Liquefied natural gas can reduce some pollutants, but remains a fossil fuel and raises methane concerns. Methanol, ammonia, hydrogen, batteries, and hybrid systems each bring different costs, infrastructure demands, and technical risks. By May 2025, only about 8% of active fleet tonnage was designed for alternative fuels. Yet alternative fuel-capable ships represented more than half of the order book. The market is moving, but without a single winner. The International Maritime Organization's proposed global fuel standard and greenhouse gas pricing system was approved in draft, but formal adoption was postponed, with talks scheduled to resume in October 2026.
Choose the wrong fuel, and a young ship can become old before its time.
That is stranded asset risk. A vessel remains physically useful, but becomes too expensive, too restricted, or too difficult to finance. A modern ship can lose its economic future long before corrosion claims its hull. For owners, the next propulsion decision may matter more than the next freight cycle. This is why shipping companies often prefer to charter vessels rather than own every hull. Operators gain flexibility. Owners collect rent, but absorb the long-term risk of steel, debt, regulation, and resale. The fortunes of maritime families and investment funds were not built simply by buying ships. They were built by choosing when to own, when to lease, when to borrow, and when to sell.
The next shipping empire may not belong to the company with the largest fleet.
It may belong to the one that knows which ships will still be legal, financeable, and wanted 10 years from now. And that decision is already being made.